This weekend in cities across this country, nearly 100,000 protesters taking part in more than 700 marches, taking aim at the president's immigration policies.
I worry about the world that my kids are growing up in.
They're angry. Everybody's angry, man. It's, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The fact that they can't find our kids. We're standing up for our kids, man.
Their outrage has to do with this number, the 2,047 migrant children still separated from their parents as a result of Trump's zero-tolerance policy. And joining me now, Michael Wild, an immigration attorney and author of the book Safe Haven in America, Battles to Open the Golden Door. Mr. Wells has also told me that he is the nominee and you're running for the mayoral position there in beautiful Englewood, New Jersey. So very good. Thank you for
having me on.
I'm very glad to have you here. Let's get right to what you think can be done at this point to get families reunited. What demands can attorneys make this happen quickly?
Well, thank you for having me again, Alex. This is very untoward times. They are actually serving the charging documents, the NTAs, the notice to appear, on children as young as 3 and 5 years old. Can you imagine the trauma that these children have gone through? They haven't had the chance to say goodbye to their parents, and now they're going incredible fear interviews to see whether or not they have a credible asylum interview. Perhaps their parents were already deported. They haven't been reunited. What can you do? Well, right now, I think the pressure that's being put on Washington is ginormous. It is extraordinary. The fact that this resembles a civil rights movement, it is not just a critique on the conservative politic on immigration, but it shows that this is the civil rights issue of our year and of our time, and we have to get this right. We cannot, in America, with the Japanese internment and the visuals that we see and the poor optics, the stains on world and American history, remind ourselves of separating parents from their children. And it's so important that we get this right. We cannot put kids or parents in cages. Many of these parents have been deported. A lot of these children cannot articulate or verbalize why they're here. They're traumatized. They're climbing on tables in the courtroom.
Michael, I don't even understand how you bring a 3-year-old into this kind of a court proceeding. What do they expect to get from a 3-year-old? Why are they doing this?
Well, historically, I'm a professor of immigration law, an adjunct at Cardozo Law School. Historically, immigration has been a civil remedy, so you're not entitled to an attorney as you would be in a criminal proceeding. They will give you a list of legal counsel that you can reach out to if you want to, but imagine giving a 3 or 5-year-old a list of lawyers. It is absurd. Also, mind you, Alex, it takes sometimes a month and a half to find a sponsoring relative that's willing to take this child in case the parents are not connected back to the children or they've been deported already. Often those relatives, we have more than 11 million people unlawfully present in the United States, would be subjected to scrutiny, fingerprinting, and biometrics themselves. So what happened is the zero tolerance was put in with absolutely no thought on the humanity of how we're going to treat people. People, Alex, that are coming to the United States pleading mercy because there are gangs that are killing people in backyards. Now, I understand from the asylum rules and the policy and the economics of this that we have to get our house in order. But these individuals are coming and they're children, and we're separating parents from children, and it's just not the right way.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my head around the fact that all of these court systems seem to be so incredibly backed up, which is why people are spending such long times in detention, long periods of time. And yet you're taking up part of the court's time with bringing a 3-year-old into court and ask them questions or give them lawyers' names. I mean, I find it incomprehensible.
350 immigration judges in the United States. Imagine that, 350 immigration judges, but there aren't enough handcuffs, airplanes, and beds to house this. And we have a biblical sense of hospitality, and we should all be embarrassed, Democrat or Republican, by the way this was executed.
Michael, I do want to have you harken back to when you represented Melania Trump in her immigration proceedings. I know that you've also represented her parents as well. So we have the First Lady traveling to the border states twice in a week. In light of all of this, there have been some questions about the circumstances surrounding her becoming a citizen. Is there any hypocrisy here? Can you just go over your experience?
Well,
there.
I'm girded by the attorney-client privilege, and for transparency's sake, I do represent her sister and her parents, and I helped explain her immigration process. She navigated the waters legally, going from a work visa to a green card and ultimately an American citizenship, and it was impeccable. I would not, and I'm again a proud Democrat, have stood forward if I thought there was any issue. And I'm, again, girded by the attorney-client privilege, other than to say that, you know, she travailed these rules properly. And there is an argument to be said that the president changed his policy based on her influence. So having a first lady in the first order, as you would, who has a sense of humanity has really paid our country well. And the fact that Mrs. Trump continues to go back to the borders on each occasion that she has shows where her heart is.
I'm just curious, do you recall how long it took from start to finish her legal proceedings to become a citizen of the United States?
Like any other client that we have who travels from a temporary work visa, so often we have clients that onboard from F1 student visas into the workforce, but Mrs. Trump came in on a professional work visa and then got a green card based on her extraordinary ability, and years later, citizenship. No different than anybody else, and the case was impeccable.
Okay. Michael Wilds, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure.
Best
Thank
of luck
you for
as you
having me.
run for the mayoral position there in Englewood. Beautiful place.